read the situation. They had an emotional day yesterday. Tom Thibodeau probably thought they needed a little bit of time off and a chance to talk and get through this situation a little bit.
Yeah, what the joke I made was you can't pull a Costanza on Friday and then come in Monday and act like nothing's wrong. We're just going to do work as usual, right? And they had a crazy practice. Beyond all the stuff that happened, I think the main thing is Karl-Anthony Towns was humiliated, right?
Well, I don't know about that.
I'm not talking about at the moment.
I was going to say, I don't love that being the storyline because that doesn't sound to me like it happened.
But I'm not talking about the moment. I'm talking about the aftermath. Yeah. Regardless of what happened in the moment in the practice, the aftermath of the conversation of the last 24 hours is Jimmy Butler went in there, he took the third-string guys, he beat the first-string guys, and told Towns, come do it to me, and he couldn't do it to him. There's no way Karl-Anthony Towns said, yeah, that was a good practice. He walks away after hearing all the reactions, feeling slighted, really. And so I don't know, it says, oh, Jimmy's considering staying in Minnesota. I don't know if he can walk back like Costanza and just act like nothing happened.
First of all, he's not considering staying in Minnesota. He has two choices right now.
He's
play in Minnesota or don't get paid.
Right, yeah.
And he's not going to choose not getting paid.
No, absolutely not. And he's not going to put off his free agency, which would happen if he didn't report for regular season games. So all of that stuff. This is everybody trying to make the situation work until the situation can change. Welcome indeed to The Jump. I am Rachel Nichols. Alongside me, Nell Hassan. Coach Stan Van Gundy making his jump debut today. We are very, very happy with us.
Glad to be here.
I'm thinking of all the different cities you and I have worked together or near each other in, and I'm happy now to have it here in LA on the show. So thanks very much. I appreciate it. And look, coming up, we are going to initiate Stan Van by playing our favorite game here at The Jump. What were you thinking, right? Which, I mean, there's no one better than that. So stay tuned for that. Yesterday, I was out on assignment, scheduled to interview Jimmy Butler in his home of Minnesota. What I was not expecting was that emotional first practice with the Wolves. Look, a lot happened there. We have an exclusive extended version of our conversation with Jimmy, and there's stuff in here you haven't seen before. Take a listen. So, boy, you had an eventful day.
You could say that.
You returned to practice for the first time with the Wolves, and I'm just gonna read a little bit of Adrian Wojnarowski's report on what happened there. That you were loud, emotional, passionate, we like to say. Targeting Coach Tom Thibodeau, teammates like Karl-Anthony Towns and Andrew Wiggins, that you told GM Scott Layton, quote, you effing need me. How would you describe what happened today?
A lot of it's true. A lot of it is true. But you got to think, I haven't played basketball in so long, and I'm so passionate, and I love the game, and I don't do it for any other reason except for to compete and go up against the best to try to prove that I can hang. So all my emotion came out at one time. Was it the right way to do it? No. But I can't control that when I'm out there competing. Like, that's my love of the game. That's raw me. Me at my finest, me at my purest. That's what you're gonna get inside the lines. And
I was gonna say, is it not the right way for it to come out? Do you think it was the wrong thing to do, or was it an okay thing to do?
I think that I was honest. Was I brutally honest? Yes. But I think that that's the problem. Everybody's so scared to be honest with one another. If you didn't like the way that I handled myself in practice, one of the players come up to me. Somebody say something. Anybody. I'm not going to take it offense. It's not personal. Jimmy, you shouldn't have done that. Yeah, you probably right. I would have said, I ain't hooped in I don't know how long. I mean, I'm passionate about it. I love the game and I love to win. And that's all I was out there doing was competing. And right now, I know Tibbs. He's in there by himself, he locked his door, and he's smiling. He's laughing. Tibbs, I know you, man. I know you. He's like, yeah.
You think he's happy with what happened today?
Yeah.
So you were back in practice today. I assume you're going back tomorrow.
I am.
Should people think because you are back in practice that this is fixed or it's on its way to being fixed?
I think people think that. I would think that too.
What do you think?
It's not. It's not fixed. Let's just be honest. It's not fixed.
Is it fixable?
It could be. It could be. But do I think so? No. Because you got to be honest. I'm being honest. Do I think so? No. I'm being honest with you. But is everybody going to be honest? No.
I want to go back and talk about how we got to this point. but I do want to make it clear to everybody watching here, the collective bargaining agreement says that you cannot talk about wanting a trade, you cannot talk about asking someone for a trade, you will get heavily fined if you do that. We are not asking you to sit here and get fined. However, I am going to talk about published reports that are a matter of public record, that the report said that you said in meetings that you wanted to trade. So that is how we will have this conversation. And I want to go back because the first thing we saw of you publicly with Tibbs here in Minnesota was that press conference at the Mall of America. You guys are both riding so high, being back united with each other. You start the season. When do you start to realize that things are going wrong or not the way that you want them to be?
It just all goes back to telling the truth and being honest with myself, with me being honest with them being honest with me. And you just look at it. And the whole thing is, I just want to be appreciated. That's it.
Okay.
It's not about anything else. Not the defense, not the points. It's the passion, the heart that I play with on every single possession. And that's all that it is.
We hear a lot of chatter about the Wolves locker room and the guys don't get along. What is the real story about what's going on in the locker room between you guys?
Everybody has to have winning as their number one priority. Everybody, winning is all that we're worried about.
Did you feel that that wasn't the case with everyone?
I'm not gonna say no names, but I'm gonna be honest. If your number one priority isn't winning and people can tell, that's the battle. Now there's a problem between people because that guy's number one priority is winning and that guy's isn't. Of course they're gonna clash. Like, I'm doing this for the team. Are you? Exactly. So that's where the disconnect is.
Wiggins attacking Richardson. Oh! Butler, a step back three is gone. Jimmy Butler. The drought is finally over.
You go through the season, you were hurt, came back, you guys had that stirring return to get into the playoffs. Playoff series against the #1 seed.
That's a really good team too, by the way.
You didn't fly home with the rest of the team after the last game
Correct.
of your first round playoff series. After the season ended, did you talk to Coach Tibbs?
Yes, I did.
So when you guys talked even over the phone after the season was over,
He knows how I felt.
how soon after the season did you tell him how you feel?
4 days.
4 days after the season.
4.
How clear were you?
Have you ever known me to hide anything?
I'm just asking.
Look what happened today at practice.
I know.
Have you ever known me to hold back? No. I was completely honest about everything.
And about what you wanted and where you wanted to be. And he has 2 jobs here, right? So he's the coach of the team. He's also the president of the team. So through the summers, you guys are also talking about contract stuff. And they offered you an extension that would have given you 4 years, $110 million. The reports are that you wanted something that was going to, if they had moved some other pieces around and freed up more money, that you would have gotten a renegotiation that would have given you a shorter term of the contract, but more money. Is all that accurate?
It's accurate, but it's not even, it's not about money.
So tell me what it's about.
It's about like saying, we need you. We want you here. We can't do this without you. And that was the disconnect all year long. Like you're saying one thing and you're saying it and you're saying it and you're saying it. I mean, I've learned enough times in life that, saying something is completely different than acting upon it. Say actions speak louder than words, whatever quote you want to use. And when it came to that point, it was like, I let y'all know what the deal was as soon as you traded for me. I told you the truth from day one, and I will continue to do it. And I did it. And it's kind of like, I don't know, slap in the face. I don't know how to put it, but it made me think like, maybe I'm not that important to your organization. That is how I took it.
How often through the summer did you communicate how you felt?
All the time. Anytime, Tibbs, you call, you text me, to an extent, I was always answering.
Same answer.
Every time.
So this doesn't really get reported through the summer. And then boom, a week before training camp, here come all the reports. Jimmy Butler asked for a trade.
It wasn't a week before. We've been talking all summer long. Everybody knew the truth throughout the organization because I'm going to tell you the truth. Like it or not, it wasn't just then. So we can put that to rest. It was not just then.
I will say, when all those stories came out and the headlines were Jimmy Butler asked for a trade, social media went crazy, and you know what the NBA is like. Instagram, Twitter, it's like the school cafeteria. They kind of became Mean Girls, where it was sort of, okay, Andrew Wiggins' brother says this.
These memes are crazy, though. Like,
And you posted your, keep that same energy, which I would like to.
He still got to see me. He still got to see me. If I suit up and I walk that, he's going to be in the back, and I'm going to confront him about it. I'm not going to be mean. I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to be like, tell me how you feel. Like, and the whole thing is, people do things because, they thought I was going to be gone. Let's just be honest. That's what he was thinking.
So all this stuff comes out, and Tibbs obviously feels, and he said publicly, I think we can fix this. I don't think we have to trade him. You two have talked a few times. You've talked in person a few times. What is he communicating to you as all this is going on?
That everything is moving along. That's what he's saying. We know where your mind is at. We're doing everything that we can, yada, yada, yada. But everybody's really, really, really positive about the whole thing. But I know the truth. I know the truth. I know the whole truth. I know what I did. I know who I am to my core. Jimmy's a bad leader. Give it all here. I'll take it. But when you go around that locker room and you ask those guys who you want to play with, I'm telling you, nobody in that locker room is going to say that he's a bad teammate, that he's a bad guy. I could be wrong. But that's how I look at it, and that's why you get the quotes that is all over the internet from me today, because I felt the type of way. I held it in. I haven't said anything to anybody. It's my first interview, Rach.
Yep.
I haven't said anything to anybody. And it comes out.
Yeah.
It comes out. So that's what it's all about. I just wanted to feel wanted.
So that end, what he said, I wanted to feel wanted, I think was really the crux of the messaging there. He talked about the contract. He says it's not about money, but he did make the point of, hey, you tell me I'm the most important guy on your team. So either show me or be honest. You heard him say that a million times. He's saying a bunch of stuff that is really critical of the way they've managed the summer with him. But the coach is also the president of the team, Stan, in Tom Thibodeau. And you said on Countdown last night that Tibbs, the coach, was pretty happy with Jimmy Butler yesterday.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I talked to people on their staff. They said it was the best practice they had in the preseason. And so obviously you can't have every day probably be like that, but anything that raises your intensity and energy is something you're going to like as a coach.
Yeah, I mean, the irony here is that that's exactly what they traded him for, right? To push people, to be a culture changer for that organization. It's just a shame that it's come at a time where he's all out on it. But we're getting lost, I think, with all the conversation. While that was playing, we kind of chimed in together. It all comes down to money, right? If Minnesota had been comfortable paying him not now, it's not about now, it's about when he's 32, 33, 34, down the line. They were comfortable. He'd be a Minnesota Timberwolf and probably be happy to play this role every day. But they're not comfortable doing that, and you can make a million arguments why it would not be prudent to do so. But once you know that you're not in it for the long haul and he doesn't want to be any part of anything that doesn't involve him here for the long haul, you gotta move on, even if you love him as a player and as a person.
Well, I don't know about that because they didn't want to have to cut salary in other places to pay him. That doesn't mean that they will not pay him at the end of this year coming up. And then presumably, from what I'm hearing from your interview, if they paid him, Jimmy would be fine going forward. Clearly, he has a strong relationship with Tom, and I think the money would make the difference and the problem would be solved. So I do think from Tom's standpoint, he probably looks at it as salvageable. And Jimmy said it could be fixable, right? And I think what he meant is if they paid me, it would be fixable.
Well, so much of this job, and you've had both jobs, right? So much of the coach job, so much of the management job is relationship managing, right? And it's sort of making a player feel like, hey, if we can't do this right now, you have my word, we're going to do this at this point. That word has to mean something. You heard Jimmy talk about honesty a lot. Clearly he feels he's been told one thing and shown another, and that's a whole separate thing about relationship building within a team. There are clearly some relationship issues, and what's fascinating is you have two guys in Jimmy and Tibbs, who we thought had one of the tightest relationships in the NBA, and they still, I think, in so many ways, love and care about each other. And what my favorite moment of what Jimmy said to me yesterday is when he's like, you know, Tibbs is in his office today, smiling, clacking the door closed and going, I got him back. And that's basically what you're confirming right now.
Yeah, I think he probably was. I think that's what Tom was. He was happy. Tom doesn't mind the conflict. He knows it's not about everybody being comfortable,
right?
But it is about everybody being committed.
Yes.
And I think this is where it's going to help Tom having both jobs, is he's going to be out there on the court every day. He's going to be in the locker room every day. And that's what he's going to be able to figure out as they go forward. Are they all on the same page? Can we make this work? It'll take some time, but Tom will be able to figure that out.
See, that aspect is fascinating to me. Stay with us through the break, because this is what I want to really talk to you about. You are a perfect person to have this conversation with, because not that many people on earth have been in this situation of both being the president and